I'm glad that was off.
What's going on, guys? Kyle Carroll from MyMMAnews.com and Carroll's Corner MMA Podcast. Today I am joined by Sarah Thomas, the one, the only Miss Money Thomas. Hey, thanks for joining me, Sarah.
Oh, sorry. Just practicing some poses.
Put those guns away. No guns allowed on the show.
I
Uh,
know.
how you been?
Okay.
How's training
Skinny.
going? How's everything been with you?
Everything's been good. I'm trying to think of anything interesting to say. I mean, I'm kind of heavy. That's the only interesting thing. So I'm trying to lose some
There you go. And
weight.
I know you mentioned when you lose weight for a fight and then you kind of go back up and then you go back and forth and it's kind of like a love hate relationship. Uh,
Yeah,
what weight are you fighting at again?
141.
141.
But it's same day weigh-in, so
Do you like the same day weigh-ins compared to MMA where you weigh in the night before?
no, I like night before
Okay,
definitely. Unless they changed it where the weight classes were more fair, but otherwise, like day before is way better.
definitely. And just so everyone's clear, who's watching, Sarah's a boxer. She has fought on an MMA circuit. Right now, she's focusing on her boxing career. Take us through your boxing career. You won the Golden Gloves last year. Now you're coming back looking to win it for a second time. What do you have to do to win it for a second time?
Um, Pretty much. I know this year they're like seeding us, kind of like how they would do like a wrestling bracket,
Hmm.
where it'd be like seeded like best, or even like March Madness, like anything that has a bracket. And I think they're gonna do it where probably whoever's number one will get a bye if it's an uneven number. If it's an even number, it's probably gonna be best, first, worst. You know how the brackets go like that, so that the hopefully one and two end up fighting in the end because they'll put them on
Okay.
other ends of the opposite ends of the bracket.
Yeah, so the best usually fights what they believe is the worst fighter, and
Yeah,
so you guys eventually meet in the middle. Definitely.
yeah.
Um, Now, do you know who you're fighting at all? Do you know where you're seated? How does that go? When does that happen? When does the seating take place?
I'm probably seeded one because I won that, and then I won the New York tournament. And like they're doing ranking points for New York specifically now. It used to just be national ranking points, but I should be one. So that's good. So, but I don't know who I'm fighting. I fought the girl who was ranked one in the New York tournament. It was weird though because she was ranked one, but I think because she was more active. But like the girl that I beat in the finals of Golden Gloves beat her, but I think she had more activity, so she got more ranking points.
Okay, all right. And you're at was it Den Line or D Line?
D line,
D
yeah.
line. How's that gym treating you? You look like you love it there. I see you always teasing your head coach, Scooter, on
Oh,
your
that's at
Instagram.
competitive edge. That's a strength and conditioning place.
Okay.
They're two different gyms, but I love teasing him.
Okay. How is the new gym treating you? How is it? How's the training going?
It's really good. The boxing gym's all boxing, and my boxing coach has taught boxing for like 30 years, so he definitely knows what he's doing. And then Scooter has like all these really good pros, so I definitely feel comfortable with him.
That's awesome. Yeah. So yeah, when you're in the hands of someone who's been working like you said tons of pros for a while, I'm sure it makes you feel very comfortable. Experience, there's no substitute for that. That's for sure.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
so take us through like I guess the weekend or like the way because a lot of people don't know how the boxing circuit works when it comes to tournaments. You have a few fights within a few like couple weeks, right?
Yeah, so with Golden Glove specifically, it's called Ring Masters now in New York, but it's a qualifying tournament. It's the same thing as what New York Golden Gloves was, but they had to rename it because I think Daily News isn't involved anymore.
Yeah,
But
Daily News backed out.
there's some tournaments that are just like regular tournaments within the state, so those ranking points are less. But then there's qualifying tournaments, and those qualifying for national tournaments, which give you even more rankings. And it's a Olympic year, so Olympic trials and stuff will be going on, and people are trying to qualify for that. So like all the tournaments matter because they give you points. Um, but the Golden Glove Pacific tournament, it's like from February 7th till April 19th. and you fight as many times as you have to, depending on how many people are in your weight class. And once you lose, you're out. So it's not like it's you go until you're done, and then you
Okay.
work your way to the finals. And then if
Awesome.
you win that, you go to national Golden Gloves, and then if you win national Golden Gloves, I mean that's cool.
Nice. Yeah, that'd be pretty sweet. And you mentioned you like when I was speaking to you previously, you said, you. I'm like, oh, I think it was around New Year's Eve. I'm like, well, what are you doing for New Year's? Do anything fun? And you're like, I'm ready to win the next Golden Gloves. And you,
Yeah,
you sounded pretty focused and determined when you said that.
yeah, I want to do that, and then I want to go to the nationals because they're actually in Atlantic City, which is kind of convenient because usually they're like they could be in the Midwest or like somewhere like very random and obscure, but they're in Atlantic City, so that's kind of cool.
Because last
Uh,
year was in Nebraska, right?
yeah, Omaha.
Okay. Yeah, in the
But
middle
then,
middle of nowhere, you're fighting in the middle of sticks.
yeah, exactly. And then after that, my coach might want to turn me pro by the summer, but I guess we'll see what happens. I'm kind of just letting him decide.
Now, I was talking to someone recently, and they were asking me, why do so many boxers have a gazillion amateur fights, and then you get into the finally get into the pro circuit? Why is that, Sarah? Why do so many boxers fight a gazillion amateur fights? You're not getting paid for them. You're not getting really anything for it besides experience. But then all of a sudden, you leap in. Like you got Lomachenko, I think, fought like won over 300 fights before he finally made the jump.
Yeah. I think it's because it's an Olympic sport, so people have the goal of going to the Olympics, and then if you go to the Olympics, you get paid tons of money as a pro. So I think everyone basically like tries to make the Olympic team, and then whether they do or they don't, they go pro after that.
Okay.
And then a lot of them start when they're like, I think you can fight when you're 8. So some of those fights that Lomachenko has are from when he was a little kid,
So you beat up a
and
few
they
8 year
fight
olds,
more
you're telling
often.
me.
That's another thing. So like, there's tons of tournaments too. So if you like, as a male, especially because girls, it's harder to match up. But if you're a
Hmm.
guy and you do Golden Gloves, and then you go to National Golden Gloves, and then you go to Nationals, and then some of these tournaments, you might fight like 7 times in 1 week.
Jeez.
So it's kind of like wrestling again. Like you compete all the time.
Okay. Yeah, it's a little different though. You're not in wrestling. You're not getting punched in the head a few
Yeah.
hundred times. Uh, but so you're gonna go there. You're looking to get into the to win the Golden Gloves again. You won it last time at Madison Square Garden. Then after that, hoping to go to nationals and then possibly turn pro, depending on what your coaches say.
Yeah.
Um, what are your goals within the sport though? How far do you want to take this? What are you doing with it? What do you believe you have to do to go to the next level and achieve success?
I think. Well, do you mean like skill wise, or do you mean like? I guess skill wise, I need to
Yeah, skill wise, like
get
what?
hit less.
Okay.
Because that's one thing I don't want to take a lot of damage, and sometimes I take too much damage because I want to like brawl a little bit. Only sometimes when I'm like, I don't know. I need to like that's definitely something I want to work on, and just like I don't know, refining certain things. But I mean, I've sparred with like world champ pros. I mean, they are really good, but I can compete with them at least. So I just have to get a little bit better, and I want to win a world title one day.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, that'd be
And
awesome.
then I don't know if I know it's sad, but I don't know if I want to go back to MMA because I feel like I'm more of like a MMA fan, but I like suck if someone takes me down and I have to get up. Like it's just never gonna happen. I don't know.
But you're pretty
I like
skilled in
jujitsu so much
jujitsu
though.
though.
Yeah, I love jujitsu. Like I think I would do jujitsu and compete in jujitsu,
Okay.
but I just don't think I'm like I don't know. Physically, MMA is really hard for me.
Well,
But maybe if I like was offered enough money, I'd be like, all right.
you've always struggled though with like the weight classes, right? Well, one, there's always not enough women in the around and whatnot. But then
Yeah,
you've kind of struggled making like the weights, right?
yeah. There was never anyone to fight, and it's like 2 year gaps between fights, so it just didn't make sense for me.
Yeah. No, definitely. I don't disagree with you. Might as well stick with boxing and keep putting your ear to the rail and punching away at these other broads.
Yeah,
Um,
because the tournaments, like you have to fight, like in amateur MMA people can like pick and choose. I feel bad about that. That like sucks. And then people have like sick records when they won't even fight the best people. Like ranking in amateur MMA, I feel like it must be really hard because someone could be 6-0 and suck, and then someone could be like 5-5 and be really good.
Most definitely. I know we've spoke about this before. I
Yeah,
tried to do rankings in the amateur
but it's like
level.
impossible to do
Yeah,
it. Like with boxing, you are forced to fight the best person. Like you can't avoid it, otherwise they don't like they're
you
like
know, like
whatever.
I know there's fighters better than other fighters that are ranked ahead of them. But if you
Yeah,
stick to the math, unfortunately, it doesn't always unfold that way. It's just
yeah,
a
I've
matter.
noticed that. Like
Yeah.
people who I know are good, who are like 3-2, and then someone who I'm like they don't seem that great and they're undefeated.
Yep, it's just the unfortunate way of amateur boxing, amateur MMA, because you got a lot of guys and women who pick and choose who they want to fight and kind of weave their way around. And then when they get to pro and you can't really pick and choose, then you're getting your head blasted off.
Yeah, once they get to like high level pro, I guess, because sometimes even oh my god, I'll look at like a girl and I'll be like, all right, who's this? And then I'll look at who she's fighting, and it'll be someone with no wins, and I'm like, that's not fair. What? I mean, they do that a little bit in boxing too in the beginning, but as far as amateur goes, you can't really avoid fighting people unless you don't want to take it to the next level.
Most definitely, most definitely. So tell us a little bit more. What else you've been up to? I know you said you're back in school. Because you are a smart person. You finished like
Thanks.
top of your class at Hofstra.
Mhm.
Tell us what you're doing with school and what else you're doing outside of boxing.
Going back to school for sports science masters, and I can kind of take the program as quick or as short as I want to. Since it's a master's program, I'm just each semester signing up for more and more, and then besides that, just training people because I want to train people in strength and conditioning once I'm done fighting or while I'm fighting, but really focused on it when I'm done fighting
Do
because
you
I realize is my favorite part.
do you believe this getting this degree will bring your skill level and your talent to another level and just your body physically within the sport to another level? Because I see a guy like Chris Algieri who's I believe got like a master's in nutrition and
Yeah,
he's doing it for other boxers as well as for himself and I think he's helped him propelled himself to another level because of it.
yeah, definitely. I would probably write like ebooks too and look at all the little ways you can make extra money. But I actually wanted a program that would be sports science and nutrition, like a dual masters, but they didn't have it like locally, and I'm not going to go away to grad school because that defeats the whole purpose of everything I'm doing. So I
Yeah.
might try to get that too, like nutrition masters too, eventually, because I saw one that wasn't that expensive.
Awesome, awesome. And tell us the feeling what it's like when you're in there and you won that title. Are you nervous before you fight? What's your emotions after the fight? Take us through it a little bit.
Before it's really weird, but literally the only thing that makes me nervous before is getting adequate sleep because I cannot sleep before a fight. So that's all I think about. So instead of thinking like, what is my opponent doing? I'm thinking like, holy shit, why am I still awake right now? Like this sucks. So once that's over, I'm not really nervous because I'm like, whatever. I trained hard.
No,
If I get
makes
nervous,
sense.
like I can't think about that. Otherwise, I'll just do something stupid and get tired quicker.
Well, it makes sense though. You know, you're trying to get enough sleep so you feel energized to be able to fight however many rounds you're going, but then you're nervous, so you're up all night. I get that. A little anxiety keeps you up a little at night. I'm sure it's tough for a lot of fighters.
Yeah, I I've talked to people who have had to travel for fights too, like across the world, and they don't sleep at all for hours or days. It's like, oh my god, that's hard.
Yeah, yeah, and then you're expected to compete, and that's not easy to do by any means.
Yeah, adrenaline definitely does help a lot. I will say. I I
I
read
believe it.
somewhere that if you like if it's the one day that you don't have adequate sleep, you can make it. But if you're sleep deprived for like an extended period of time, that's when it messes with your performance more.
No,
Because
that
even like
makes
I was
sense.
reading about like Olympic runners and things like that. Like sometimes the events they'll compete in the Olympics will be early, so sometimes they won't sleep for like an Olympic event, which is kind of interesting.
No, definitely is. Um, Now, where are you going from this? Now, you said when's your next fight? Do you have a scheduled date when your first fight is?
Um, there's actually well, not a tournament, but like a fight where the best people in New York go against the best people in New Jersey. So I might do that, and it's February 1st, but it's in New Jersey, but I don't know where. I have to figure that out.
Okay,
And then the Golden Glove starts February 7th.
so you're just gonna go mop the floor with some of those Jersey clowns, and then
Yeah.
come back and go right into
I
the.
was actually look Googling. I was like, number one girl at 141 in New Jersey, and I couldn't figure it out. I have to do that later. Get my creep on.
Just kick her ass in the parking lot before you get in there.
Yeah, and be like, I don't even need to go to the ring.
That'd be awesome. You know, do you enjoy boxing more than MMA, or do you prefer MMA and it just didn't work out at the time?
I think I'm better at boxing, honestly, so I feel better doing it. Like, I always like the boxing aspect of MMA,
Hmm.
and I like kicking, kickboxing, I liked, but I don't like being kicked. And then jujitsu, I really like. I like wrestling too. Actually, I think I liked all the aspects, but combining it, like, didn't work well for my brain. Like, I like focusing on one thing. I don't know if it's because I have OCD or something, but I like to, like, just really focus on one thing. It's really hard for me to like have all these extra variables.
um, Now I gotta ask you about your Instagram story. You're always putting up some goofy stuff up there. You're pretty entertaining, pretty funny, but then you do the ask me questions, and then you get some people asking some random questions.
Yeah, there's some creeps out there.
Yeah, I was about to say, take us through the kind of stuff you get, why you do that, what it's about.
All right, let's see. What have I gotten recently? Someone sent me a D pic and said, "Could you rate this from a 1 to 10?"
I,
And I didn't answer,
I
obviously.
thought you were gonna tell me you sent back like a
I get,
zero.
I don't know, I get the weirdest things. People think I'm that ref Sarah Thomas, the one she's an NFL ref now.
Oh, that's right. She is. Yeah, she's a
She has
blonde
my
hair girl
name.
too.
So I got some guy that was like, "Can you sign a mini helmet
You should have
for
signed it
me?"
and
And
sent
it's
it
like,
back.
okay, sure.
You should. That'd be hilarious. Just start signing random shit.
I get a lot of stuff not in English.
I believe that they're all from Pakistan, wanting to sell you MMA gear, right?
Well, I get those, but I get like ones that someone was like, "Hi, I box many year," and I was like, "Okay, that was today." Some guy sends me Ronald Reagan quotes almost every day.
Ronald Reagan quotes. Like
Yeah,
is he trying to inspire you
I don't know. It's kind of odd, but
or
I kind of like
defeat
it.
you? Like, does he think
I
you're a
don't answer them.
communist?
It's very weird. I don't know. I think the internet is just full of really weird people. Like
Yep.
these people probably just like sat in their basements back in the day, and now they're just like sitting there with access to us. That's what what's it called? Sebastian, whatever his last name is, the comedian, does a bit
Oh
about
yeah.
that, and it's pretty accurate.
Yeah, he's actually pretty funny, Sebastian. I can't pronounce his last name. Some
Yeah, I don't want to
Italian
say it
last
enough.
name, but he's pretty entertaining.
Hmm.
But I agree with you. I think a lot of these people are probably in mental homes till they close them all, and now they're all running around on computers.
Yep, lunatics, and it
Yep.
might be the same people on like 10 accounts.
You're probably right. You're probably right. Bunch of nut jobs. So what do you do for fun though when you're not training, when you're not making goofy videos and getting harassed by weirdos online?
I watch How to Get Away with Murder. I'm binge watching it. It's actually on right now. I'm
Wait, how
not
to get away with
watching it
murder?
right now, but I need to rewind it.
Are you talking
I
about
didn't pause it.
Forensic Files?
No, it's called How to Get Away with Murder. It's the best show ever.
Never heard of this one.
I didn't even know it was a thing either. And then I guess it has 4 seasons. Apparently, like the fifth season's happening right now, unless someone lied to me. But it's on Netflix.
Are you planning on killing someone?
Hopefully not. I think I wouldn't get away with it because all these extra little things that can happen, I'm like, it's too stressful.
It's good to know though, just in case you can see the signs of someone trying to whack you, so you'd be
Yeah,
prepared.
It's true. It gets messy though.
Yeah, right. I can imagine. Um, well, hey, Sarah, I'm looking forward to seeing you get back in. Will it be televised at all? Your fights at all at the Golden Gloves or anything like
I
that?
think it might be on like Facebook Live.
Okay,
I
awesome.
think they usually are. The Golden Globes are always on Facebook Live. The
You definitely
finals used to be on TV, but I don't know what they're doing. I don't know.
cool. Um, well, I'm glad to hear things are going well for you in the boxing world. Definitely looking forward to see you win another Golden Gloves title and then kick some ass at nationals. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Sorry, I keep flexing. I know. Help
Put
me.
steroids.
I just got hungry, which sucks. Oh no. Oh no.
Well, no, the weight classes are different in boxing. Has it made it much easier for you?
No, because it goes from 141 to 152, and 152 the girls are really big for the most part, and then 141 I'm way bigger than them, so I'm like, I'm just going down.
Gotcha.
But then and then under that it's 132, and it's same day weigh-in, so it's all terrible.
Yeah, it sounds horrible.
Yeah.
Reminds you of the wrestling days, but in the tournaments though, you got to keep weighing in for like a week later, 2 weeks later, right? You got to hit that weight
Yeah,
again. It's not like you weigh in and then you're good for the whole tournament.
yeah. You have to weigh in every day,
Yeah, no bueno.
or however many times you compete. Yeah, I wish. Oh my god, if there was one initial weigh-in, I would make myself like 170.
That'd be nuts. They're like, that's not Sarah.
I was like 160 not that long ago. Ugh.
Jeez. Well, Sarah, anyone you want to shout out to or any sponsors you have you want to recognize?
I want to say shout out to everyone who helps me because I'm gonna forget someone and feel like a dick. You know.
You also do a lot of modeling though, too, don't you?
I haven't been doing as much lately, but I have done stuff.
Okay. And like when a lot of your modeling photos, you're actually like looks like you're like shadow boxing and kind of in fight gear and
It's,
stuff.
well,
Um,
yeah, the agency is like reps athletes,
okay.
different types of athletes. Yeah.
Awesome.
So.
Cool. Good for you. Um, any no sponsors? Anyone you want to shout out to?
Uh, my gym, D-line boxing, and scooter. And that's about it.
And the scooter.
And all you creeps on the internet, you can follow me. I'll answer if it's funny.
Awesome. Well, this is Carroll's Corner MMA podcast, and we're signing out with Sarah Money Thomas. Sarah, thanks for joining me on the podcast and talking about your upcoming fights.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You too.